28 Days Later is a horror sci-fi thriller movie that was released on November 1st, 2002. This review was a request from Darnell Litterbury 515. I am finally reviewing it after all this time, and I have to say, it was certainly a memorable experience. So let's get to reviewing it. The story follows a bunch of people turning into zombies after a scientific experiment goes horribly wrong. The infection spreads throughout the UK for 28 days. A survivor wakes up in a hospital and finds a few survivors, and they look for a sanctuary. I will say the story has aspects that I like and aspects I don't like. Let's start with the former. I will say the first half of this movie is really fucking good. It has a very raw and realistic style. When I say realistic, I don't mean that it shows a bunch of gore and horrifying images. In fact, this movie is actually pretty light on zombie action. If you're expecting this movie to be somewhat on the same lines as Dawn of the Dead, the 2004 version, or even The Walking Dead, you will actually be pretty disappointed. This movie is realistic in the sense that it is pretty quiet and focuses mainly on characters trying to survive the apocalypse. I mean, that makes sense considering there are not that many characters we have to work with at this point. This movie is also raw in the sense that there's male nudity, and we have a quote on the church wall that says, "The end is extremely fucking nigh." These are really nice touches that make this movie ballsy or uncomfortable depending on who you are. I also really felt for Jim when he read the note from his dead parents. It says something to the effect of, "Keep sleeping, and when you close your eyes, don't wake up." When he reads it, he starts crying. Now, while this movie may seem like it's all doom and fucking gloom, it actually does have a little bit of hope at certain parts. And there are parts where the survivors are genuinely happy and enjoying themselves. I honestly prefer that over anything in The Walking Dead. That show is too fucking dark and nihilistic and really doesn't have a satisfying ending from what I've heard. That to me is not actually realism. 28 Days Later is way more realistic than The Walking Dead. Alright, now that I've talked about the things that I liked, there are some things that I don't really like that much. Most of the things I don't like come in the second half of the movie. Some of these do contain spoilers, so you can skip to the timestamp in the description if you don't want this movie spoiled. So the survivors listen to a recording done by a military unit. Frank tries to drive there, but ends up turning into a zombie, and a military unit kills him. But they do take the remaining survivors into the military base that they're at. They even kill a few zombies. However, they eventually stab them in the back by acting pretty fucking nasty toward them and revealing that there is no quick cure. One of them tries to rape Selena multiple times. The reason I have a problem with this set of events is because I feel like it was really unnecessary. I don't know what kind of commentary this movie is trying to make. Is this movie anti-military or something? If so, that is total bullshit. I mean, I don't disagree with that the military guys were doing some nasty shit, especially the guy who tried to rape Selena. That dude was a cunt. But I don't know why the writer decided to make the people who saved them from getting killed by someone who became a zombie the bad guys. It was only really there to make some sort of commentary that the movie really didn't need. Honestly, this movie would have been better if the climax involved the survivors in the military fighting off the zombies. Think of how much more epic that could have been. It also doesn't help that the actual climax is pretty poorly edited and shot, which is a damn shame because the earlier scenes of violent action were edited pretty well. You get some shots of zombies slicing and bashing, and an explosion. You also get some decent gore. Granted, not a lot, but you do. Even the scene where the military guys are shooting the zombies is pretty well done. on. It's well shot and edited. But the climax is shot and edited in a way where you really don't see the impact of how the characters are fighting. And when you do see it, it is just really fucking disturbing. I'm talking about the part when Jim smashes the villain's eyes. That is just too fucking horrifying for me. I mean, he kind of deserved it, but damn. I will say, I actually really do like the final scene where Jim and Selena and Hannah make a sign that says hello to Laura Plain. It was very atmospheric. But overall, I have to say the story is memorable, and I'm glad I did get to see it. As for the production values, the cinematography is decent. There are parts of it that look good, but there are some of it does look kind of ugly and not in an interesting way. The editing is also a bit inconsistent. Well, for the most part, it is pretty good. There's a really weird transition toward the beginning, and the climax has some really bad editing. The sound is pretty good though, I will say. And the music is actually pretty good too. Sure, there's not a lot of it, but when it does come up, it sounds really fucking good. It ranges from instrumental rock music to music that's more atmospheric and uses strings, choir, and something that sounds almost like an organ or something like that. It really feels like a soundtrack to an indie film. I guess that's what this movie kind of is. Overall, 28 Days Later is a pretty decent zombie movie. I wouldn't call it my favorite zombie movie, but there are some really good parts about it. I like the first half a lot. The second half is a little iffy, but overall it's an experience that I definitely wouldn't forget. I give 28 Days Later 3 out of 5 stars with the title of Worth Watching. Anyway, I'm Spike Robot. If you like this video, you can subscribe to my channel and feel free to support me on Patreon, follow me on Instagram and X and Pinterest. See you next time on the Freedom Jingos.